watching Fighting Dirty with Hank Balch.
Hey, Sterile Processing Universe, it's Hank Balch here with another episode of Fighting Dirty. And this episode, if you realize, is not a video episode. For those of you who typically watch this series on YouTube or through the Facebook pages, no, this is audio only. Back to my roots of podcasting. You can thank the coronavirus for that, but I'm tired of waiting and trying to get back into the studio. I prefer to get my headset on and keep talking and keep having the conversations around the topics that matter for our industry. So on this episode, we're going to talk about a recent poll that I did through LinkedIn talking about opinions. And in particular, I asked how long you should have to work in an industry before you express an opinion about that industry. Now, I had a particular perspective on this topic before the poll, but I wanted to see what everyone else thought. And unsurprising to me, more than half, 53% of the people who answered this poll said it shouldn't matter how long you work in an industry before you can express an opinion about it. Now, the options were at least 6 months, 1 to 3 years, and then more than 5 years, those kinds of options. But 50%, over 50% of the respondents to that poll said it should not matter how long you work in an industry for your opinion to be expressed. Now, what does that have to do with sterile processing? As a young sterile processing professional, I remember starting off in the industry and feeling a very strong pressure to keep my mouth shut. To basically, I haven't worked here long enough to deserve to have an opinion about anything, to go over there, do your job, and, quote unquote, shut up. Now, as I became a sterile processing manager and I started networking around the country and getting involved in different organizations, I saw that mentality of not wanting to hear opinions from the new people play out again and again. And I became increasingly frustrated with this idea that just because I'm new, or just because anyone is new, doesn't mean that their opinions should be less valuable, and it definitely doesn't mean that they need to sit down, shut up, and listen to everyone else who's been in the industry for 10, 20, 30 years. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not saying that only new opinions matter. What I am saying is just because someone has been in the industry for 20 years doesn't make their opinion any more valuable or any more true than someone who has been in the industry for 6 months. Likewise, credentials, just because you have more letters behind your name doesn't make your opinion more valuable than someone else's. Just because you happen to have a particular position or title in a hospital or in an organization doesn't mean that your opinion is somehow more valid just because you hold that title, regardless of what your opinion is. So I was encouraged through this poll, and I want you to be encouraged through this short message that your opinion matters. And I don't care how many letters you have behind your name. I don't care how long you've been in sterile processing. If you see a way, or if you think there's a way to improve the process, to improve the industry, to push us in a direction that as an industry or as a department we need to go, people around you should hear you out. Now, that doesn't mean that just because you express an opinion that everyone has to say, oh, that's great, or just because you express an opinion that anyone has to do anything with it. But what we shouldn't be doing is telling you that you don't have the right to express an opinion, that you need to sit down for X amount of time and just watch and just listen. And then, and only then, can you express an opinion, and only then can your opinion be in line with what the majority of everyone else says. I think that's completely ridiculous. It's counterproductive. It does not serve our industry in the least, and it does not serve individuals who are trying to grow and learn and have important conversations. All these things come back to the point of we should be encouraging new voices, fresh voices, to tell us what they really think. I hope this episode is inspiring to you and encourages you to step out, stand up, and make your opinion known. Thanks for listening, and keep fighting dirty.